Iconoclash is when one does not know, one hesitates, one is troubled by an action for which there is no way to know, without further inquiry, whether it is destructive or constructive. During the financial boom of New York City in the late 19th century, the formal topology of the bank derived from the monumental nature of temples, cathedrals, and similar power structures. Financial institutions today no longer refer to this type of monument, switching from physical financial exchanges to the digital, inevitably leading to the demise of the bank's grandeur. Technology has driven many bank buildings into empty monuments. The New York Savings Bank building evokes the spirit of capitalism and value in its late 19th century aesthetic. It was originally built in 1897 by American architect R. H. Robertson, orchestrating classical architectural elements influenced by the World's Columbian Exposition of 1893, and emanating the gleam of temples and Beaux Arts classicism. The bank itself is a clashed object, not respecting one architectural style, but merging diverse aesthetics. Located on 14th Street and 8th Avenue in Manhattan, its two facades play a game of perception between the asymmetrical and the ill-proportioned. The architectural elements of the bank were further explored, looking into the role and the iconicity of the building. Through the grand presence of the cupola, pediment, ornament, and the symmetricality of the 8th Avenue entrance, the bank exudes a level of monumental nature through these unique pieces. Over its 125-year reign, the overall program of the New York Savings Bank has transitioned from a marble palace of financial security, to a high-end food market, and to now what remains as CVS Pharmacy today. The role of the monument correlates with the role of the program. Due to recent radical climatic changes and shifts over the years, certain species of animals and insects are becoming endangered, inevitably affecting whole environmental ecologies. The loss of the bee, due in part to temperature extremes, could have dire consequences for ecosystems. With the innovation of modern-day cloning technologies, scientists have the ability to counter the loss of vital species. The programmatic clash of bee cloning injected into the New York Savings Bank further questions the role of the monument and the role of value. The question of what is original, and what is replicated, is posed within the new nature of this artificial landscape. The original and the clone are lost in translation as they interrelate within a new technologically driven environment. The role of the monumental, and the power of aesthetics were further explored. Looking primarily at the formal topologies of the ziggurat, the Greek temple, and the Latin cross plan, these icons are challenged and clashed with the architectural elements of the bank. The dialogue of the mundaneness of the machine, and the spectacularity of the monument are also questioned, how to make them one and the same and equivocally present. The machinery of the cloning mechanics are inherently clashed with the presence of monumental aesthetics. Treating the everyday machinery used for cloning as equally as precious as the cloning process itself further questions what is exactly on display. The clones, or the science behind the clones. DNA sequencers, data servers, ventilation, and other machinery needed for cloning processes are accentuated and embedded within the architecture, a system that feeds fuel to the overall monument. The bank's geometries are extracted primarily from the roof and pediment, forming new volumes within the interior of the building to further question the role of the monument. The scientific cloning operations are encased and suspended within the inverted ziggurat and base. The flat, monotonous classical facade of the new 14th Street entrance is interrupted with a glimpse of the bizarre ziggurat object. A foreign yet precious-looking threshold is presented to the public, ushering one down to the unknown below. Smaller hybrids of the classical architectural elements clashed with contemporary technologies are integrated throughout the interior. The cupola and dome extend downwards to enclose artificial environments for the host and cloned bees, and the classical Corinthian column embeds ventilation systems for cloning operations. The interior drum of the bank is extended to manifest a telescopic artificial environment for both the original and the clone to interact with one another, a place where the public can view the spectacle from the bottom and researchers can extract data from the inverted base through a robotic track from the top. Similar to Robertson's eccentricities and asymmetricality, the inverted ziggurat object is not a perfect mirror of itself as seen through the cross-section view of the 14th Street entrance. As one enters, they are immediately engaged to look up to the array of original and replicated bees housed within the drum above or to look down to the computer servers that house vital digital information below. The integration of the Latin cross plan is also inverted, positioning the processional entrance on the longitudinal facade on 14th Street, while maintaining a secondary entrance on the 8th Avenue facade, creating a cross in processional flow and circulation to the sculptural cupola on display above. The nature of the machines to generate clone specimen are unique objects by themselves. Banomechanics sitting atop researchers' desks, quietly operating as the fuel to the main procedure of manifesting cloned species. The roles are reversed in certain glimpses of the monument, where the intrigue of the spectacular and new aesthetics are placed within the shadows of the power of the machines. The relationship between the original and the replicated are questioned. An aura of the mystique and the unknown are generated as one enters the inverted ziggurat object, curious to see what precious innovation is encased within the extension of the cupola. The new monument generates a series of dialogues in relation to the power of value in technology, what we perceive as original and replicated, the homage towards the gleam of temples, and the interdependent relationship of the mundane and the spectacular. Columns are clashed with ventilation, ziggurats are clashed with machines, and intricate drums are clashed with new materials and surface articulations, inevitably redefining the role of the monument in contemporary times.